Hello everybody, welcome to another trip report reading. Today I realized I have not done enough Salvia readings, so therefore we shall be remedying that. This one is called Picked Apart and Rearranged, a Salvia Divinorum trip report submitted to arrowwood.org on April 16th, 2026 by Acrylic Sun. To preface this, it was me, my friend Kay, and my friend L. Kay had tripped before on a full bowl of 50x Salvia, and he had a good time, so I was shooting for a trip around the same intensity as Kay. So we went around and were looking for Salvia of about 25 to 50x, but we could only find 100x. So we bought it anyways, and tried to calculate it so that I would have the same intensity trip as Kay. Kay had a scale, but it wasn't working, so we eyeballed it and packed the bowl with a little bit of weed in the bottom and about half full of 100x Salvia. In hindsight, that was a big mistake. It also should have been a fourth of the bowl instead of half, since Kay is a lot bigger than I am. I heard many times to hold the smoke in until your vision starts buzzing. However, after I took a rip of the bong, I held the smoke for about 5 to 10 seconds, but blew it out before the buzzing because I got too scared. In 2 to 3 seconds, my vision started to buzz, and I instantly knew I smoked too much. Within a couple seconds, I had instantly been shot into hyperspace. I laid back as I started to be ripped apart atom by atom. I became a part of a collective, and my atoms were rearranged into a crystal lattice structure where I was being twisted and turned. Each atom within the lattice was me, but I was experiencing it as a single atom. I was everything and nothing at the same time. This lasted for an eternity. I was then absorbed into the couch that I was lying on and became a part of it. I then fell deeper and became a suburban house. Being a house was absolutely terrifying. I tried moving, but nothing I did would allow me to. I tried to scream, but I had no mouth in order to do so. I was trapped for 10 months. I watched people walk past me day after day. I watched children play in my front yard and ride their bikes past me. I watched countless sunrises and sunsets. I watched the seasons change. Some people who walked past knew I was a person, but instead of doing anything, they tormented me. They would point at me and laugh and open and close my front door. It was agonizing. I wanted to cry, but was unable to do so. I then came out of the trip a little, but then proceeded to fall between the couch cushions. The darkness became a black hole and a birthing canal that I was trying to crawl through in order to get to the other side. As I was pushing through, I was absorbed into the walls. I then became the universe, the stars, the rocks, the debris, and the emptiness. I was the darkness and the light. Then from a piece of my body became the earth, a barren rock. I went down to the earth and laid on my back. My body morphed around this barren rock, and I buried my hands into the ground. From my fingertips, the roots of trees grew and plants and trees sprouted up. My blood became the rivers, the oceans, the waterfalls, and my torso became the dirt that everything grew upon. I was Mother Nature, and it was beautiful. I then became the animals, the mammals, the fish, the insects. I was all of them at the same time, learning how to use my limbs, testing my body. I opened my eyes for the first time and saw light. I was sucking in air, and I felt it travel down my throat and into my lungs. I could feel my muscles contracting and extending to move my bones as I twisted shoulders and bent my elbows for the first time ever. I was testing out my body of these new organisms I have become. I then started reliving warped memories from my childhood. I relived a memory of me riding a bike when I was a kid, except I was the bike, and a younger version of me was riding me. I also relived a memory of younger me playing in a field of grass, except I was a blade of grass swaying in the wind. I also relived myself reading my favorite book, except I was the book, the pages, and I felt myself being turned. And then suddenly, I snapped back to reality. I sat up for the first time about 45 minutes into the trip. I believed that I had saw the birth of time in the universe and lived through it to the end, then went back to the beginning of time in the universe and traveled forward in time to the present moment. I didn't know what year it was, where I was, who I was, but I was in reality once again. I was suddenly then convinced that my friends were there to keep me captive, and so I felt a huge urge to run away and get violent with them. I tried once to run away as fast as I could, but they caught me. I did not get far, and a small part of me was telling me that I shouldn't run away and that I shouldn't hit them, so I did my best to calm down and to not do so. I was then convinced that my skin was the thin film of a new screen protector that you're supposed to pull off. So I started feeling my face for the tab to take my face off. Fortunately, I did not find said tab. I laid back down, and when I stood up again, I stared at my friends while they were talking to each other. I was unsure whether they were able to see me. I didn't know if I was real or not, and I looked back at where I was lying down, checking to see if I could see my body. When I wasn't able to see my body, I was convinced that I wasn't real and thought that all the memories I had were made up. The rest of the trip was pretty much riding the waves of a come-down during a high dose of a psychedelic. Coming out of this trip, I feel more connected to nature. I now think about how silly humans are to do everything in order to disconnect ourselves from nature. We build walls and streets and pretend that we aren't related to the plants and animals. We evade dirt and grime and look at viruses and diseases as these evil beings, when in reality they're just doing what they can to survive. We are no better than the black mold growing on death and decay. We decimate the earth for our own benefit, and these organisms are just doing what they can to adapt and survive. I no longer see myself as separate from nature. I see all life as a part of me, as my ancestors and my cousins. So, here's a little advice from your Uncle Mako. Don't smoke half a bowl of 100x Salvia extract. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look, I'm not saying it's not possible to have incredible experiences that you have no regrets over, that, like, it's just everything goes good. You meet Lady Salvia or whatever, and she teaches you how to be one with nature, and you don't spend 10 months trapped as a house, wanting to move and scream but being unable to, for 10 fucking months straight. Oh my god. Ooh, that is an absolute, that's some of the scariest shit, I can imagine experiencing. My personal greatest fear, the thing that bothers me most, is being trapped in some sort of situation that you cannot even, kill yourself to get out of. That's bad. I don't like that. I'm not gonna smoke half of a 100x Salvia bowl. I'm not gonna do that. I mean, yeah, it'll end. It will end eventually, and you'll be back in your body, but, dude, there was another report where someone said that they literally felt like they had spent millions of years on a mountain. It's just not worth the risk, man. If you are, by some fucking chance, some sort of, Zen Buddhist master or whatever, where, you could actually live as a mountain for 1,000,000 years and be spiritually unfazed, just, be completely chill with that, and you know what you're doing, you have a lot of experience with psychedelics, with lower doses of salvia, with medium doses of salvia, with high doses of salvia, because this isn't high, this is fucking stupid. This is a stupid dose of salvia. I'm not saying it's impossible to have a, wonderful experience on this, but you're probably not gonna have that. As I was reading the intro to that, just as they talked about, oh yeah, we were looking for, maybe 25x, but we could only find 100x, so we decided to just get that. I'm like, no, please, no. But hey, I mean, apparently they did have some sort of positive benefit from it afterwards. They, became more in tune with nature. And it's true, hey, always remember, a Tyrannosaurus Rex is your cousin. Just, full stop. A very, very, very distantly related one. But you are cousins. Y'all have the same great-grandma, Luca. I disagree that we, in general, are no better than black mold. I think some of us are, but also I definitely think some of us are worse than black mold. Anyway, I don't really have that much to comment about on this, I suppose. I think it was very interesting how they went through all these different trips in the same trip, all of which involved them being different objects, but they were all different scenarios. I guess the last thing I'll say is the fact that the brain is able to, you would think that the human brain is only really capable of generating an experience of what it feels like to have, a head and 4 limbs, But no, apparently you can just imagine what it would be like to have walls and windows and doors as your body parts, and, like, feel from those. Why is it able to do that? I don't know. I guess it can do a lot of things, and it usually just does some very limited things. It's like, it's got all the fundamental ingredients of all these different perceptions, your proprioception, your vision, and it's able to do whatever the hell it wants with them. It just normally only wants to do the things that correspond to your external senses. I could talk all day about how fascinating this is to me, but I'm just gonna shut up there and let you get on with your night or day, or I don't know. When do you watch this? You don't have to leave a whole comment telling me when you watch this. It's okay. You caught me. I'm trying to farm engagement. You don't have to do it. All you have to do is not 100x Salvia extract. That's your homework for the rest of your life. Once you are dead, please report back to me and I will grade you appropriately. Well, goodbye for now.